my little book dragons, welcome back to my channel. Today I am finally wrapping up my July reads. It took me a couple of days to just like figure it out, but I read 10 books this month, and I tried to do this like only read 5-star prediction, and I think it worked pretty decently, so I'm just gonna get started in no particular order with the books that I read this month. Okay, so let's get started with one of my absolute favorite reads this month, The Gunslinger. This is the first book in the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I really enjoyed this book. It was just one of those that I had to read because I am such a huge Stephen King fan. My favorite thing about this was the ending, I'm not gonna lie. In between and then getting into this world was very difficult for me. Not a huge thing for Stephen King to be writing fantasy. Aside from this series, he has not yet done a lot of fantasy stuff, but he does it so well, and I cannot wait to go on with this because it was an absolute beauty. We are following this gunslinger Roland, who is following a man dressed all in black, and we just see his journey. It feels a lot of like a western kind of story, but in a really cool way. And of course you get all of the guns, and there's magic. There's, I think more than magic, is dark magic, and I cannot wait to dive more into the series and just figure out how things actually work, because there's a lot of things, and I'm excited to see how this will correlate with like the Stephen King multiverse and how everything will just come together beautifully. So really excited about this one. Moving on, something that I read was Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. Really enjoyed this read as well. 5 out of 5 star. My favorite book so far. I think, I don't know for the whole year, but definitely this month was my favorite read. We are following an angel and a demon, and we know that it's about to go down between heaven and hell. I have a full review on this if you're interested, but we're following these two characters, and they know that the apocalypse is about to begin, so they kind of really fell in love with Earth and humankind, and we see them go all like #Team Free Will and trying to make sure that they're making the right decisions that they actually believe in. So it is quite a cool thing. Really cool, brilliant humor, so I was laughing out loud a ton with this one, so totally recommend. Another one that I am so happy that I picked up this month. The next thing that I read was the 7th book in the series of Forgotten Events by Lemony Snicket. This is the Bile Village. I was butter reading these with Rachel from Let Me in the Library. I had such a great time reading these. It's not one of my favorites in the series, but I did really enjoy it. I do think that this kind of goes into this kind of territory of how social interactions work, and also how communities and people just like following each other without really realizing if things aligned with what they believe in. They just like, because someone said that, I'm gonna follow it, and then creating this mob psychology mentality of people. So a really interesting read for a children's book, so really enjoy that, and totally going to continue on with the series next month with the 8th book. Oh my goodness, yes. The Calculating Stars, Mary Robinette Kowal, another one that I have a full review on because I love this book so much. We have a Lady Astronaut. This is the Lady Astronaut, the first book in the series, and I am already reading the 3rd one. I did read this one and the 2nd one this month, and I just love them. The main character, Elma York, is fabulous. She's married to an engineer who's like #goals, marriage goals, honestly, and this is like in the 60s, and a meteorite hits Earth, and they have to survive because of course after that happened there's a lot of climate change, and it gets really accelerated because of that, and they have years to figure out how to get out of Earth. So they start making some explorations to the moon, and then the 2nd book is about going to Mars. I read the 2nd book and I just really liked that as well. which is called The Faded Sky. Totally recommend these two books because, you know, first of all, space exploration is one of my absolute favorite things to read about, even if it's not completely science and it's science fiction. I still really enjoy that, especially these books, the science part of them. It is so well written, so well researched. At the end, she does tell you that she's got a lot of help from people that actually worked at NASA and astronauts that like gave it a little check to make sure that everything was like adding up, and everything just, it's so good, it's so genuine. I don't know about the third book, I'm reading it right now, and I don't know how I feel about that one, because we're not following the same main character, we're following a Lady Astronaut, but it is not the Lady Astronaut, so I don't know how I feel about that, but the first two books, great. Another thing that I read this month that I was so excited, and I am so happy that I finally picked this one up, Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. A fantastic book, a fantastic read, something that you really need to go into if you haven't already. Also, we know that the second book is coming out pretty soon, and I cannot wait to read that as well. This was just such a geeky read, especially if you like video games and 80s reference. Everything is in here. There's Pac-Man, there's a ton of video games again, but also there's movies, music. This is packed. This is a huge thing full of reference, and if you enjoyed that, which I definitely did, I will totally recommend this up if you have not already, because you are totally missing out, like I totally was. Next books, they were NetGalley things, so I'm gonna have down below the links where you can buy them, and if not, then when they come out, so that you can check them out if you're interested. The first one is Dear Girl by Aija Mayrock. I really like this, such an empowering little read. This is poems, you know, type of like the Milk and Honey book, kind of in the same length, but this definitely had such a big feminist insight to them. So everything was, be proud of your body, don't cover up your body, don't be ashamed to be a girl, kind of a read. So super empowering. I love this. I had such an amazing time reading it and listening to it because it was an audiobook. The author actually narrates, so 10 out of 10. I love when they do that because it's just like, it's a little bit more personal when you're listening to an audiobook and you have the author telling you the story and the poems and all of that. I love that. Next thing was a bit of a different read for me. It's Enchanted New York from Dann. First of all, cover, 10 out of 10, love that. But this is just basically the story of New York from the very beginning, and I love this because it didn't feel like super historical, like, oh, in 1999, this happened, and that, like, it was really well put together, and I love the way that it seemingly moved through history without just like being a bunch of dates and facts. Like, he was really telling you the story of New York in a fabulous way that you really felt like it was an intertwined story, the way that he just like connected different events and made it flow really nicely. I love that. And also he obviously incorporates a little bit of magic into it, so it's like history plus magic. There you have it, New York City. Totally saw it after reading this with different eyes, and I would totally recommend giving this a read because it was a fascinating little thing to read. Now, again, going back to space exploration and all of that, this is a really cool book written by an astronaut. This is Terry Virts' new book called How to Astronaut: An Insider's Guide to Living Planet Earth. How cool. Yeah, I know, so cool. This one, you know, I've read other books by astronauts with like this kind of theme of them showing them a little bit the behind the scenes and obviously living through them, like going to space. Pretty cool. But I was extremely surprised about this one, especially because he really answers a lot of the questions that no other astronaut would ever dare to answer. So like, if you have really interesting questions, you know what I'm talking about, like, or even dirty ones, like, he talks about every single thing. He leaves nothing out, and I love that. I was surprised to like find new information about space exploration and all of the process that they have to go through to training and obviously when they are there. So it was really enjoyable for me to learn more about that, as well as get some new info. And then He's really funny, so if you want to get all of that but with a little bit of a sense of humor, definitely go through that. Another thing that I loved about this book is that you can actually just pick the chapters that you want to read. So if there's something that you are specifically interested in, you can just like jump through that and then go back to another chapter and just like read it really however you want. And also the little questions at the end that he answers, extremely interesting answers. So again, another one that I completely recommend, because I tried to read a bunch of 5-star predictions. I had a great time this month. And should I just read like that every single month? Probably. But the last thing that I want to share with you guys is George by Gino. You have probably heard about this before because it is extremely well known. Everyone knows about this book. It's been around for a while now, but this is about a trans little girl. And it's interesting to follow from the very beginning, like since she was little, all of the stuff that she has to go through to make people realize that she's a girl, and it's just heartbreaking at times, but also really lovely, and at the end it's just like really heartwarming. So it was a really cool read. I do have a full review of this if you're interested as well. So I think that's it, is it? Yep, those are the 10 books that I managed to read this month. I think I was a little bit lazy, honestly. I think I could have read a little bit more, but because I read so many books that I just really loved, and it was such a great reading month for me in that regard, I am not too mad about it. So I think I'm just gonna continue doing this. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and if you want more book reviews and bookish content. And I will see my little book dragons on my next video. Bye!